Hey there, island dreamers, locals, and anyone craving a slice of paradise. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, to the Fun and Key West podcast, where the vibe is always laid back, the stories are salty, and the drinks, well, they're definitely frozen. I'm your host, Michelle O'Connor, your unofficial tour guide to the Conch Republic. Whether you're planning your first trip, your fifth trip, or you're just daydreaming about trading the cubicle for the ocean breeze, you are in the right place. Here's the deal. This podcast is your insider's guide to all things Key West. We're talking where to eat, hello, conch fritters and key lime pie, where to drink, spoiler alert, there will be rum, where to stay, and all the quirky, wonderful things that make Key West the one-of-a-kind paradise we all love. Plus, we'll keep you up to date on the latest happenings, festivals, events, maybe even the occasional Hemingway lookalike sighting. And just to keep things spicy, we'll be bringing on some amazing guests now and then, locals, business owners, and people who know the island like the back of their sandy hand. So grab your flip-flops, pour yourself a cold one, and let's escape to the island state of mind together, whether you're tuning in from your hammock or your commute, while wishing it was a hammock. We've got all the Key West goodness coming your way. Thanks for being here. It's going to be a lot of fun in Key West. Let's dive in. Happy Historic Marker Monday, everyone. Welcome back to the Fun in Key West podcast, your go-to podcast for uncovering the fascinating stories behind those historic markers scattered across Key West. I'm Michelle, your guide to all things Key West, and whether you're tuning in live or catching us on the podcast, I am so glad you're here. If you're watching live, be sure to drop a comment. Tell me where you're from and who you are so I can give a shout out. And if you're listening later, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Today, we're diving into the steamy, yes, pun intended, history of steam power and its incredible impact on Key West. From powering ships and trains to lighting up homes and even playing a role in the fight against piracy, steam power didn't just change the world, it transformed Key West into a bustling hub of commerce, travel, and innovation. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's fire up this episode. Happy Historic Marker Monday, everybody. I am Michelle with Fun in Key West. And if you are watching us live, let me know. Put a comment down and below in the comments. Let me know where you're from and who you are so I can do a shout out. If you're listening to us via the podcast, thank you so much. And be sure to subscribe so you get more of this content. Today, like we do on all Mondays, is we talk about the historic markers that you see throughout Key West. And today we're talking about steam power and how that absolutely not only impacted the world, but Key West. It had a huge role in Key West and how it made Key West move forward, become part of the industrialized revolution. It helped with ships and trains and even helps fight the fight against piracy. It was all powered by steam. So let's dive into this. We know that steam engines came about and shortened travel times. They powered cities and they transformed industries. And that was all part of that industrial revolution. You remember back to your middle school, high school history classes, we talk about the Industrial Revolution and how that changed the face of the earth and made the world a little bit flatter in terms of being able to get somewhere. Steam is powered by something. It's usually coal, and then the coal and the water work together. They create steam, and then you get power. And that power helped to move ships and electrify cities and shorten times and put in place. So think about it. Before that, you had sailing ships, and it could take days or a week to get from point A to point B. And then once steam power came into play, that time significantly shortened. And Key West was absolutely the perfect setup. You had some freshwater availability, you were in the perfect maritime location, and you had a coal supply. So it was a perfect setup. Coal was stored in Key West in coal depots, and these were warehouses that were stacked with coal, and these were all ready to unload and put into the ships to power them. You had large water towers like you see around Key West, especially around Mallory Square, and these water towers stood by the waterfront and they helped put the fresh water into the ships and put it into the boilers so that all of that steam could be made. And why does this matter? Well, obviously, ships can't just sail forever. They're not a sailboat, they're steam powered boats. And they needed fuel and they needed water. And so basically, Key West became the gas station of the sea. In 1820, if you remember back on one of our episodes a few back, we talked about Commodore Porter, and he had the Seagull, which was the first steam-powered ship in the U.S. Navy. And he used that ship and his fleet, which was the Mosquito Fleet, to help eradicate piracy throughout the Key West waters and all over to the Caribbean. And there is evidence that Key West actually was using steam power during the Civil War, and it helped with and played a huge role in the wartime operations there. Electricity comes to Key West, and it is steam-powered electricity. In 1880, Thomas Edison fires up the first steam-powered electric system in New York City. In 1887, just 7 years later, the Key West Electric and Gas Company opens the first private steam-powered plant. And so steam wasn't just about ships. It literally lit up the homes and streets of Key West. Key West's location is critical. It's a stopover point. So if you're coming in from the Caribbean or you're coming down through, it is a perfect spot. You're coming off the Mississippi and coming out. It is located centrally for all of that maritime traffic. What was interesting, and I found out, was it specifically Key West did a role in the California gold rush of the 1850s. So prospectors are on the East Coast, and you would think that you just go from the East Coast to the West Coast. Well, a lot of times, these prospectors on the East Coast, they boarded steamships, and they came down through Key West, and those steamships reloaded with coal and water, and then they continued on to Nicaragua, and then the prospectors trekked overland, and then they sailed to San Francisco. So Key West played a pivotal role in the California gold rush. So if you think about steam power, why does it all matter? Faster ships made quicker trade and safer seas. It provided electricity. So we get to enjoy modern living. Trains, it powered the trains, and this opened up America. So all those train tracks were laid and they connected the East Coast and the West Coast. And you saw the wide expansion of the United States. And for Key West, the steam power turned the island into a hub of commerce, travel, and of course, military strategy. What's interesting is steam engines date back all the way more than 2,000 years ago. They weren't perfected until the Industrial Revolution. And imagine that you were in Key West during this time. The waterfront is lined with coal depots and water towers, and it's just bustling along with all these steamships. And obviously, if you lived in the 1800s, would you take a slow-sailing sailboat or a faster steamship? I think all of us would take the faster steamship. That's the difference why most of us fly places versus driving. It's so much faster and much more convenient. So steam power didn't just change the world. As you can see, it changed Key West. And so as you're wandering through the Mallory Square area and you see these water towers, think back to how Key West looked and its role it played in maritime traffic, in the Civil War, and everything else in between. And be sure to read those markers because you're always going to learn something. This one was a real quick one because it's not really a spot or a house like we normally talk about, but it's just the advent of steam power and the impact that it had on Key West. I'm going to encourage you, as always, to head over to FunInKeyWest.com. Over there, you're going to see all of the other locations on this self-guided historic marker tour. Plus, you can sign up for our happy hour list. And that gets you on our newsletter list, and you get to get a weekly update of what's happening in Key West, as well as what's happening around the world of fun in Key West. And we have a trivia question that we ask every week, and that puts you in a drawing for a fun surprise Key West box. I'm Michelle. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being part of the community. You guys have a great Monday, and we'll talk to you later. Bye. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Fun in Key West podcast. Who knew steam power could be so fascinating, right? From fueling ships to lighting up Key West and even playing a part in the California gold rush, it's clear that steam power left its mark on Key West in a big way. As you wander through Mallory Square or spot those old water towers, take a moment to imagine the bustling, steam-powered Key West of the 1800s. And don't forget to read those historic markers. They're like little time machines waiting to tell you their stories. Before you go, head over to FunInKeyWest.com to explore more stops on our self-guided historic marker tour. While you're there, sign up for our happy hour list to get your weekly updates, trivia questions, and a chance to win a surprise Key West box. Thank you for tuning in, for being part of this amazing community, and for keeping history alive with me. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time.